One of the things is the talent availability in the Pune because good institutions like Metcon and Pune has the legacy, so people started migrating in Pune because of the education purpose. And then once it is education, the availability talent is becoming very easy for the industries. Pune was known for. Then came the global in-house centers. Like many organizations globally who are there in India, they started to focus on establishing their shared services, global in-house centers, and that is a big industry now in Pune. So there are only few cities in India. One is Pune, of course, Bangalore and Hyderabad, and I think these cities have global in-house centers. The Pune, I will say, is inclusive. Earlier they used to say that Punekar typical. Have some, there were a lot of memes and jokes about Punekar, but it's totally changed because that was because of the perfection of Puneans. They actually, it's not the city that they only said that Punekar typical is there. They also adapted. They also started working in a new way, behaving in a new way. They learn. I think Pune is the city where there's a lot of learning ability or learning agility we have.
Which industries do you think are now dominating the industrial sector of the city?
One of the things Pune is becoming a hub for, I already said, is a global in-house centers for the any type of. Another factor is changing in India that earlier the gap was totally different.
So what is your opinion on the government policies? How have they been supportive or how have they been instrumental today and probably way back in say 90s? Now in the last few maybe 10-15 years, how has the government's role been instrumental in developing the connectivity, the infra, say for the manufacturing sector here in Pune or for the IT hub? Because for all these things you need to have better connectivity, better infra.
If you compare in past, infrastructure is becoming good, but I think the pace is required. What is missing here, going in Hinjawadi itself in the IT industry, commuting time in Pune is almost 2 hours in any part of Pune. If I want to go from one part of Pune to another part, it's a two-way. I think one is organization also need to come forward to support them. They need, they should not be discreet in those areas. And government also made their core only talent acquisition, L&D. L&D head can't be a HR head. Recruitment head can't be a HR. Maybe there may be exceptions, but you need to deal multiple people in different general management is, that's the way it works. So choose the career right.
So welcome to episode 11 of Dr. AB's Podium. हमने recently जो episode launch किया था with that Dr. AB's Podium Learnings and Insights through Podcasts. ये जो channel मैंने शुरू किया था, ये जो initiative मैंने शुरू किया था, it turned 10 and it was a very special feeling. तो जितने भी सारे viewers हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, those who are watching it regularly, the content is being consumed regularly. I am really happy कि आपको ये पसंद आ रहा है. चैनल को जरूर सब्सक्राइब करो. इट्स अ फ्री थिंग. बटन सिर्फ प्रेस करना है सब्सक्राइब का. लाइक करो and share those videos because we are trying to roll out more and more content which will be very informative, education related होगा. बहुत सारा information आपको इसमें मिलेगा and जितना भी content हम यहाँ पे बनाएंगे, अगर आप ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों तक उसको पहुँचाओगे, certainly it will be of great help to them also. And comment जरूर करिएगा. You tell us in the comments what kind of subjects you would like to listen to, what kind of topics you would like to listen to. So it will be my effort to get guests who are competent and they will speak to you on this. Now with this, today I am going to talk about Pune city. I am brought up in the city. मैं एक पुणेकर हूँ by birth. And इस city के बारे में लोगों को जो आज की idea है, what the city is known for. But earlier, if you see, the city was known for a lot of things. It's a cultural hub of the nation, and it has got a lot of cultural value. But from that, how the city has evolved, how the city has now become an industrial hub. किस तरीके के यहाँ पे growth opportunities है. It is also one of the favorite destinations for startups. तो इसके बारे में बात करने के लिए I have Dr. Vinod Bidwaik sir with me today.
Thank you.
Dr. Vinod Bidwaik sir is the group director of the Sakal Media Group. He has a vast experience of over 25 years in managing organizations, managing teams, into recruitments, into turning around the processes for with respect to HR and all the operations for companies. with a huge experience, in these fields. I am sure he will be the right person to answer this question as to and throw light upon the situation कि पुणे city किस तरीके से आज develop होती गई है. So welcome, sir. And first of all, thank you so much for accepting the invitation to be on this show with us. So as I was mentioning, I am born brought up as a Punekar, Hadacha Punekar, like we say in Marathi. So Pune traditionally has been a city which was known as a pensioners paradise. Yeah, Pune has been a city जो cycle का शहर माना जाता था, and also the Oxford of the East. It has a lot of value in terms of education, academics also. This I'm talking about, probably these definitions were there probably about 30 years ago. In 30 सालों में, and during your experience in various companies and in the city as you have worked, in 30 सालों में आपने इस शहर को कैसे डेवलप होते हुए देखा है?
First, thank you for inviting me here. I think it is my great pleasure to interact with you and the audience. First thing first is, of course, you rightly said that transformation of Pune city. I will use the word transformation because Pune itself is a historical city. We know these Peshwas and Shivaji Maharaj and all these things is a great legacy Pune has. And then I think in 70s, the then government started to bring some industrial growth in Pune city, Pune and around the Pune, because earlier it was only Mumbai or because of the certain reasons. But I will say that the transformation of Pune happens in few things. One of the things is the talent availability in the Pune, because good institutions from so many years, Pune University, Savitribai Phule, Pune University, and then many universities came in Pune. Now most of them are becoming private universities, but Pune is becoming a hub of talent, and one of the opportunities is English speaking talent. We exported many talent outside India. Right. And that time they used to say it is a reverse, is a brain drain going outside India, but now it is happening reversely because there are a lot of opportunities coming. People still going outside India, but then they are learning and they are coming back in India to take higher position and to benefit the nation. So when it started as an automotive hub, actually Tata was the first, then Force Motors, then came many ancillary units, because automobile industry itself required many talent, many workforce. It is a labor intensive job, and that time it was that not that much automation and we say in those period. So there are lot many things need to do in a labor point of view, and then slowly migration started in Pune. Two reasons. One is for education purpose, because and that time specifically other states of India were struggling in terms of their personality as the city they had. The Pune itself and Maharashtra overall is considered as a progressive state. Correct. And Pune has the legacy, so people started migrating in Pune because of the education purpose. And then once it is education, the availability talent is becoming very easy for the industries. So then Tata Motors, Ford is the Force Motors came, then there are Bajaj. So it started, and then they also supported the ancillary units, tier 1 companies, like you have seen many auto component industries in Pune, and slowly it started getting a momentum over a period of time. So I will say, and once upon a time they used to call Pune as a Detroit of India, where you have a lot of many industries. In fact, it's a top 4 or 5 OEMs are in Pune. Tata, Ford was there, I think, but this Volkswagen and General Motors was there. They now shut down their shop. Fiat, the auto component unit, the digital manufacturing units, and then slowly this ecosystem started to develop. Then what is required for the automobile industry is required services. So it is engineering services, it is product development services, because sometimes these OEMs started facing the challenge to bring those talent. So what they did, and of course the cost optimization is very important for those companies. So then they required the services. Services can be IT services, it can be product development services, design and development services, and slowly they started to put the efforts, or will say the investment, in product development houses. So, and there is a success story. So slowly global organizations started coming and establishing their global in-house centers in Pune. So first is automobile, auto component and manufacturing industry Pune was known for. Then came the global in-house centers. Like many organizations globally who are there in India, they started to focus on establishing their shared services, global in-house centers, and that is a big industry now in Pune. So there are only few cities in India. One is Pune, of course, Bangalore and Hyderabad, and I think these cities have global in-house centers, and it can be anything. So there are financial share services, there are IT share services, there are purchase share services. So that become, there are few auto farm equipment companies then started shifting in Pune. Mahindra and Mahindra has a big plant, John Deere has a plant. So that ecosystem started developing, ancillary units started coming, education of course earlier what was there, talent availability is easy, open, progressive mindset. The Pune, I will say, is inclusive. Earlier, they used to say that Punekar typical, have some, there were a lot of memes and jokes about Punekar. But it's totally changed because that was because of the perfection of Puneans. Because of the language, they wanted a perfection. And that's also started in floating in the DNA of the Punekars. Once Punekar, and Pune is the city, I would like to say, is a very inclusive city. You see, it's like people coming from other states and they are actually become the Punekars over a period of time. It's a very safe city. You can travel anytime. It's not unlike other cities in North India or other. It's a very safe city. So education, and that's why I'll tell you one story. In one of the organization where I was working, there were many people used to come. We used to hire the management trainees. So there were North Indians coming from Jharkhand, Bihar, and they used to say to me that my father decided to put me in Maharashtra, specifically Pune, after 12th. Because you don't know what will happen there after 7 o'clock. That time, when there were particular situations. So slowly migration started. And I think the latest data, and that data, so there are almost 20 lakhs people are migration in Pune. They are, and I will say that you can see the diversity in Pune, regional diversity in Pune. There are many expats working in Pune. They are Europeans, they are Americans, Korean, Japanese, they are working in Pune. And this ecosystem has created a Pune Great, I will say. And this transformation, Pune not only is inclusive for the others, but Pune also adopted many things. They actually, it's not the city that they only said that Punekar typical is there. They also adapted. They also started working in a new way, behaving in a new way. They learn. I think Pune is the city where there's a lot of learning ability or learning agility we have in Pune. And that's the great thing what Pune has. And that's why I'm saying that it's a transformation of Pune. Now, today also, whenever we interact with other people outside Pune or maybe in Maharashtra, they say that they would like to spend Pune, and Pune is known everywhere. That only the few challenges, of course, Pune we have, and we will discuss later on. But that's the state of Pune I like.
Correct. Two of the major things where we have as a city, the locals have changed.
Yeah.
Their way of working. One is the shops used to be closed between 1 to 4. Now they are open. And secondly, Punekars were notorious for, taking a nap between 1 to 4. Again, that also has changed. So these two things have really changed. What I want to know is probably 20-25 years earlier, you mentioned about automobile industry or the auto ancillary industry, auto component industry. Typically manufacturing and engineering companies. They were the ones who were dominating the industrial scenario of Pune. Now, coming probably 25-30 years now, and in the present, which industries do you think are now dominating the industrial sector of the city?
I think one of the things Pune is becoming a hub for, I already said, is a global in-house centers for any type of industry. There are companies where they are servicing from India and giving the services to global companies here, like their financial planning, financial services. So, for example, there is a multinational company, any company, what they do, they set up a global in-house center here to handle their finance department from here. Right. So, all financing is done. So, there's IT, of course, is becoming a hub. IT and ITs and IT services, of course, is a major thing, is dominating. I see the future for Pune in terms of in all aspect, servicing the other industries as a global in-house centers. It can be, there are R&D innovation hubs in Pune. Innovation is totally different. I will not compare this innovation, what's happening in Europe or Western countries, but at least research and development front or development centers, what is there are India, that is playing a major role. So there are many manufacturing industries, not only in India, they may not have a presence in India, but their servicing happening from India.
Correct.
It's financial services, it's IT services, it's insurance services. For example, there are many companies who are providing the insurance services to American or Western world sitting in India. Their ships are different. So I will say services after manufacturing is of course still dominating in Pune, I will say equally. But the service industry and service in terms of IT service, financial service, your insurance service, all sort of services happening from India. So that is a major area it's happening. If you go in Vijayawada or eastern part of Pune, there are many industries coming. They are setting their shops here, working for other countries. Now we have to see what will happen once this new Donald Trump takes the decision. But that is become a crucial part. And there are two reasons I will say why this is happening. The flexibility of the Indian talent. Working, because if you go in other countries specifically, they are very strict about timings, they have their own regulations, they are professional, they don't want to, they may be in one things, they are expert into things, they want to explore. One of the important for Indian talent is they want to experiment. Jugaad to hai na. The problem solving approach is amazing what the talent we have. Actually in Pune also.
Right.
So second is English speaking things, and that is helping to create that job opportunities in India. So to summarize with this, of course manufacturing will still be dominant, and outskirts of Pune there are many industries. If you travel, there are many constructions happening around. But second is of course services industries. It can be any services happening from India. You either call it as a global in-house center or share services. And of course third, everybody knows is becoming IT things. But I will consider IT also as a services, because very few IT companies have their own product, and most of the things they are actually doing billing based on the manpower or man hours things. Innovation, all these things still we have to work on, because we are too transitional in terms of industries. We are focused more on a profit, revenue, and some innovations really we need to think about that. What is the future for the innovations in Pune city actually?
So you spoke about the IT industry. My question is on that itself. Back in the maybe 90s or early 2000s, as we discussed earlier, there has been a huge migration that happened from the city to maybe the places like the United States, where typically somebody would complete an engineering from here, go back to the United States, pursue an MS qualification there, and would settle over there. Now, IT industry typically required that kind of a talent. Now, with so much of talent going out, how did the IT industry actually develop in the city? Because it's a very interesting thing. So, your comments on that? How did it?
I think we should give the credit to people like you. It's specifically what's happening in Pune in education front, right? But yes, there are many people were migrating. That trend was very huge when I was in college, or perhaps that time, that everybody, and specifically in Pune, from every family, at least one person used to be in United States, right? But slowly, as it's becoming global village. Now, that time there was an attraction about the Western world, the lifestyle, the cost, the earnings, what happens there. But if you see the living, cost of living, what you say, and what we earn and what we spend, if you compare that, one of the benefit definitely people may see is the lifestyle there. There are many people still I have seen, they want to go outside, they don't want to come back because of their families and all these things. But I also seen the reverse things. There are many people, they spend almost 10 years, 15 years there, specifically in large corporations, and wanted to come back because they were thinking that they need to be closer with the families. Their children are becoming now our schools, and they are now understanding the world. So the fear of identity crisis is creating a problem in their mind, and they are thinking that our children should be with their parents, grandparents, and they need to understand what's happening in India, the Indian culture, and all these things. Because if you go there, specifically for a parent is not an issue, but for the children, then there are issues. The fear of the discrimination there. The now, as it is becoming global village with this internet and all this information, the perception are changing. There are still people, and specifically there are many young generation want to do something for the nation. And that time it was happening because of the attractiveness of the packages, of the salaries, of the learning something new, and that was, I will not say that that was not wrong, it was also right perspective according to them. But then as world changes, what they are going to differently there, what they are getting, maybe at certain age or at certain level, the salary doesn't matter. Because whatever you are getting there, perhaps you are getting similar to that, only cost of living index changes. So what you are earning there, you are spending there, equivalent, what you say, not necessary. Maybe for junior to at some certain level, it can be the beneficial thing, and then they grow there in those countries. So one of the elements where the Indian education system, maybe there are different views about education system, that what we are creating, are we creating really the innovative, creative mindset or talent, or we are creating a followers, or maybe earlier the slang word was used like cyber police sitting behind a computer. There are many people, they are doing a monotonous job. There are many peer pressure that everybody wanted to be in computer because of the lucrative salaries. Another factor is changing in India, that earlier the gap was totally different. If you go in manufacturing industry versus IT industry, the salary gap was huge that time. Now it is not there. Because I also work in manufacturing industries, and we used to do the surveys and all these things. There may be difference, but that not much. Maybe hardly 10-20% difference is there. But now salaries, what the manufacturing is offering is also really good for the white collar employees. So there is no, and if you go in manufacturing, that engineering or what is a core, correct, mechanical, electronics, or ENTC or whatsoever its core, it's is their skill, is their niche, and if they are there for long. Right. How many times you heard the, perhaps maybe, but not much, layoff news in manufacturing industry compared to IT industry? Correct. In IT industry, every 2 years, 3 years, you say there the market correction and all these things. So that insecurity is also changing. I also seen the trend where people are, moving from IT industry to manufacturing industry. There are a few people going from manufacturing to IT industry. Still there are biases about both the managers that industry specific experience what they want, but there are changes happening. So I feel that it's about becoming closer, becoming the connected with the world. So people are looking their own happiness, what they want to achieve. That time the aspirations were to earn more, to have big houses, to but now, specifically this generation, maybe Z or now, young generation, are looking more what they like, their passion and their aspirations, I think. Right. So that's creating a good things for India. I think that's the opportunities also, we can say.
One interesting example I'll tell you, my cousin who's in the United States. So he had recently visited Pune, he met me. So he used to share with me that back when he migrated there, 30 years ago, 25 years ago probably. So while purchasing everything, he used to convert from the dollars to rupees. Today he is living a good life. He says now it doesn't make a difference. So you rightly said that from earning, it is now becoming more towards the quality of life, or what kind of a lifestyle you're living there or here. So how important, what kind of a role have these IT parks or SEZs specifically which have been developed for the IT industry here? Because Pune received the first recognition because of the Hinjawadi IT park. Yeah. So what role have these IT parks and everything played in developing this service sector for the city. Your comments on that?
I think one of the things is the convenience what the government or I will say the stakeholder offer to the industries. One of the thing is, it is easy for commute talent within IT park. There are many industries around. One is the tax soaps, what we can say, the cost of land, which is given as a concessional rate, and there are certain facilities what the government give in terms of rebate on certain things in electricity, in power, in other areas, help to develop this SEZ. And in fact, in SEZ, there were exemption for labor laws also. So for 5 years, I think certain years, there are exemptions given in terms of compliance point of view. And that helped because imagine that if some entrepreneur wants to start an IT company in those areas, you don't need to worry about what are the compliances needed in terms of tax, in terms of GST, in terms of labor laws. We had a very complicated system still in India in a compliance perspective. So that burden went up, and then they can focus on the business. They can focus on revenue, they can focus on profitability, they can focus on attracting the right talent. If you see, I have seen many HR professionals in IT industries, they don't know the compliances because they never did that compliances because it was, white collar jobs is very easy to manage compared to unions and all these things in manufacturing. And there are very certain set of rules how they should be managed. There are not much things, they are not governed by the labor laws. They are governed in certain areas like maybe social security provident fund and all these things. But unlike in manufacturing industries, there are unionism, Industrial Dispute Act, there are many things which they are not actually, they are totally exempted from that. Second thing is there are exemptions in SEZ for certain years. There are rebates what they get. So that facilitated the developing that hubs in industries coming, sitting there, doing something for the community. And it also helps the association come together and share some common things. Like in Injawadi, they have their common transport system, they have their association, they do certain activities commonly, they have their own, I think, pressure groups, which actually they can go to the government and demand something.
I think Injawadi Industrial Association itself is a big
association.
Yes.
Even they commute some buses also.
Yeah, they have buses also.
So that helps because if you are coming together, that helps in two ways. And of course, government push help a lot to create that because there are many industries came, there were some exemptions, all these things. And not necessarily, it's also given to the industries also. But unfortunately, manufacturing setup require a lot, a huge capital investment. Here, everything is possible. You can take, you can lease, you can take computers on a lease. You can lease, other company can lease on those computers to the another IT industry. There are software licenses, all these things. So I think convenience of operating busy, ease of business is easy in the SEZ and such IT sectors, at least for certain years. Right. I think.
This I'll refer to one point which you mentioned earlier about how people in the city are accommodative.
Yeah.
Specifically, if you see Hinjawadi, people in Hinjawadi were very accommodative of the entire development that was happening because Hinjawadi typically was a gram panchayat. It was a village typically. It is still a gram panchayat, but it doesn't look like one now. It is very well developed. It is very well connected now everywhere because of the metro and all these things. But if you go back maybe 30 years into history, it was a completely different picture. People also there have really been very accommodative and they've helped. So, what are your views on that?
Of course, yes, because if you see there, there are farmers, mainly is the farmland, what the government acquired. And there are certain assumptions in the mind of people. Normally, what you say that there was a Marathi movie in Murshi Pattern where it was projected. I think that was also a reality where the lands were taken because it was a big business for the certain group of the people in the society. There are some perceptions about I'm not saying not necessarily Hinjawadi, but if you go in outskirts of the Pune city, this was an opportunity for the locals. You see why they become rich? Because of these certain reasons. Those local people got the employment. their contract they got there is other side also to that, but transport contract, their canteen contract, housekeeping contract, security contract, maintenance contract, everything that opportunities went to the locals, basically scraps and all this point of view. So I will say that inclusion is one part, of course, because the people were accommodative. In certain areas there were resistance, but if you show the big picture, and you say, it's actually the big picture what they saw. I think we should appreciate, because you see somebody is giving a fertile land, and I'm sure that that area is in Pune around is immensely a fertile land. Their own land giving, and some people manage very well. They got the opportunities there. There are certain challenges, of course, what we are facing nowadays, but that need to be tackled positively. I will say that government has to come into action, stakeholders. There are many things industries can do about that. One part is, of course, they are accommodative, but it is also I will say the responsibility of migrant workers, people, to be accommodative with the local culture. I remember when, in one of the organizations where I was working, that was a European organization, and they offered me to be posted at China in Shanghai. I was there almost 1.5 years. So they offer us a cultural sensitization program for me and family, that you should know what is the culture of China, what is the Shanghai, how to interact with them. It was almost a tuition type. The teacher used to come. It's about language, it's about communication, it's about how. And first fundamental thing came there is respect the local. You should not be dominant with the locals actually. If they get that feeling, then perhaps they will not. And I think there are few things happening around the world. So that accommodation is a both way, that they are there, but it's also the responsibility of others that how they learn. In fact, I have seen many people who started learning a Marathi language. They speak good Marathi. But many, people should actually learn. If somebody is there, they should learn the local culture. They should learn how the Pune is working. It is very necessary in specifically a village part, is a local part.
Yeah.
In Pune, it doesn't matter because we are diverse, we are multilingual, diversified society. We are living in inner societies.
Right.
But as you travel or go outskirts of Pune, specifically in Injawadi, in that western part, Karadi, or even Pirangud and that Ranjangaon, the dimensions totally change. And that is because this accommodative nature or inclusion is not only one way, there's two ways. Both should adopt that.
In fact, every 25 kilometers, 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers, the way we speak, it changes. Food habits, they change. My village is approximately about 60 kilometers away from here in the Satara district. So I've seen this, things change, habits change, cultures have been changing.
That is the opportunity for industries. It's a good point. If somebody is listening this podcast, somebody from industries, they should focus. Why not to sensitize the migrant who are coming? Because majority of people are migration happening in
Correct.
industry knowledge. Why not have a cultural sensitization?
It's a very interesting thing. In China, when you saw this cultural sensitization program, what was the duration of the program there?
It was almost is 1 month to 2 months, and it is not continuous. It's actually weekends, and as per the convenience, maybe 2 or 3 years. It's like a coach. Right. It's the agency, they are coming at you, or you have to go there, and they will actually interact with you. They will communicate about the cultural aspect, how the evolution happen in their society, what are do's and don'ts in a cultural norms, because the China itself is like hierarchical things, and they are not too much open. They are not much. They follow the authority, and then you need to be very careful while dealing. Perhaps in European culture, it's very easy to challenge the manager. Doesn't happen there. In India, in fact, it's happening because now young generation is challenging their authorities, bosses, in families we see. But there are some communities or some countries like Asian countries specifically, and India is also at some extent, I think, is there. We follow the authority. Interestingly, in one of my last organization, one European boss asked me the question, why people don't, show respect to the chair, to the authority. They bow down. they touch the feet, and they respect the hierarchy. It is not good. I don't know why it is not good. Your assumptions are totally wrong. It doesn't mean their way of interaction is different. They are not respecting you. They are respecting the wisdom of the person. They are respecting the age, because the person may have something different. But still, even in our countries also, the challenging happens in a different way. To fathers, to bosses, will not directly challenge in a rude manner, but there is a way of interacting. We also disagree. Earlier also people used to disagree. So some assumptions we Indians also made about the India is wrongly, because we are not propagating our culture properly. It's about some shaming the culture is happening. Then I explain in everything why, how these came, what is the, and why it is beneficial that and it is not about the I think fear about the authority. It's about the respect. Through the respect it's happening. It is not about just the chair we are respecting in what happened. Maybe perhaps in China it is because of communism and all these things. But in India, I don't think that it is respect because of the fear. It is because of the respect what our Indian scriptures in ancient India it is demonstrated or taught to us.
So we spoke about government policies and how they're important in bringing this culture. Suppose it's with the IT industry to the city. So what is your opinion on the government policies? How have they been supportive, or how have they been instrumental today and probably way back in say 90s? The comparison, if you could explain that.
I think if you compare, there is a lot of progress happening in government, because with this Vikasit Bharat 2047, what the government, central government and even state government, and irrespective of which government, they have to do this, because we can't be isolated in terms of to the world. We are on, and we are dependent. Every country is dependent on it in terms of supply chain, in terms of what's happening around the world. Definitely will have consequences on us in geopolitical challenges, in technological challenges, all these things. So I think government initiatives like there is one scheme. They give the incentives, production link incentive, what they call. There are some PSI scheme for government here. There are rebates on power and electricity if you use the conventional electricity. There are government initiatives on skill development programs. There is a huge relief to the labor-intensive industries on the skill development point of view. Like government is subsidizing some stipend recently. So there are schemes. NPS, I think National Apprentice Board, what they are running on the apprentice program, where government pay almost in the range of 2,500 to 4,000. It gives a rebate. If you have a salary, for example, you are paying a 15,000 stipend, you get a rebate back. So that is the things what the government is doing. I think they are very much proactive. They are inspiring the industries to use those schemes. There are agencies actually accredited with the government, and they are helping into that. I personally is taking a benefit of that, and it's not only for the specific industries. Any industry can hire those apprentices and take the benefit of that. By doing this, you are doing two things. One is, of course, you are supporting the young talent in skill development programs. Like you hire them 1 year, they are trained. Government is subsidizing that stipend in certain amount, and industries are also benefiting because the whole burden is not industries. Second is industries is playing an important role in the nation building for developing the talent there. So I think there are many automobile industries around Pune, and in fact they are taking the benefit of that. So that schemes is helping skill development. There are any incentives in terms of in certain areas, in certain years where you get a rebate on electricity bill. If you use certain things, there are rebates, what you taxes, what you pay, all these things. I think that schemes are definitely helping the industries to grow further. The awareness, the trainings need to be done properly. Only one challenge, of course, is the implementation of those schemes, because skill development, if somebody knows they are using smartly, but not, I don't think that everybody is using that smartly. So government is also trying through different agencies to propagate that, to communicate that. In fact, what the subsidies they are giving to recently in the farmers, in skilled workers, there are many schemes government has. Even they develop the teachers, for worker teachers also. There is a labor welfare board where very small amount is paid to the government, and they have many programs for the skill development, their welfare things for the families and the workmen in manufacturing industry. So there are many things happening around. Government is also trying to make consolidate the laws. Is already passed in last tenure of this government in central. There are different labor laws almost. I think more than 100 labor laws in different things, in old age labor laws. They are now consolidating in only 4 courts. And that notification is already published. Now it is up to the state governments to implement that. Perhaps slowly they will start implementing. It's like NEP, what you have in education. It takes time because then there are different stakeholders. There should be a machinery to follow that. So that also giving the liberty and flexibility to the industries to manage. So I will say that if I compare that time, it's huge difference. Now approvals are easy. There are online things, you upload the onlines. There are many things, like for a simple, I will give you a very small thing. Earlier, you have to actually apply Shop and Establishment Act. You have to apply license every year, every 3 years and all this, pay the fees, and that was a tedious process. Now government has taken that. You don't need to go for that once it is already approved. So every year you don't need to do that. There are many things government trying online, things. So I think if I compare in those days and today, there is a huge difference because government also need to change in that. Is becoming a transparent. I have seen that the attitude of government officials is changing a lot. I have seen many times, of course, as an organization, as the industry, you also need to be clean there if you want to follow. As I came from multinational organizations, they are very compliant. They say, if somebody coming from the government office, they say, okay, tell us what we need to do, we'll do that. But we will not entertain any under-table dealings. So if organizations are there, they are coming there, they are helping. In many cases, I have seen the government officials saying that, okay, what should be done, you should do this, all these things. So I think the attitude of government organizations is also changing. There are many labor office commissioners, they are coming on the associations and educating the industry expert on certain things. I think that changes now. Earlier it was the attitude and all these things is totally gone, I think. And they also realizing the need of being open and transparent. Correct. Of course, I will say it's not 100%, it's not an idle word. There are many things still need to work, but then you see the Indian legacy. It takes time, I think. And over a period of time, when new generation coming, taking, the more compliant the organization being, the more focus on the ethical things, because the generation specifically demand that will change over a period of time.
Right. One of the most important, or maybe a couple of most important, points for any industry to flourish. One of the things is infrastructure and the connectivity. Now, in the last few, maybe 10, 15 years, how has the government's role been instrumental in developing the connectivity, the infra, say for the manufacturing sector here in Pune or for the IT hub? Because for all these things, you need to have better connectivity, better, infra. So, what is your opinion on
That is
that?
a bigger challenge what we are facing because of the population. There are 3 things what I think not necessarily the industries, but also government must be facing. One is about stakeholder management. There are many people involved, like if you want to widen the road, there are many stakeholders. There are even cities, there are landowners, there are municipal corporations, there are different agencies, electricity, all these things. Managing those is becoming very difficult. If you compare in past, infrastructure is becoming good, but I think the pace is required. What is missing here, going in Hinjawadi itself in the IT industry, commuting time in Pune is almost 2 hours in any part of Pune. If I want to go from one part of Pune to another part, minimum 2 hours is it. Maximum you don't know. That is the major problem. Connectivity to the industrial sector. If you go Chakan, Ranjan now is becoming a bigger challenge. At least I think Hinjwadi or IT industries, they can offer work from home or remote work, and after COVID it's becoming a norm. So at least a certain curve on a commuting is becoming, I think, good. But if you go in industries, manufacturing industries can't operate.
You can't do that. Correct.
And it's really a pain. I think government has to seriously think about that how infrastructure can be provided. One is about connectivity, internet connectivity, and everything is okay. I think the electricity is not a bigger problem. Companies are also taking their own precautions, having alternate mode of power and all these things is not a bigger problem. But commuting in industrial sector, specifically in Pune, is becoming a big challenge for any industry. And the pace what we need to do in any project has to be drastically improved, which is not happening.
Correct.
And perhaps I think those challenges maybe as authorities or government may face, they have to answer this. Why industries now recently, in there are many agreements signed and all this is happening.
Yeah.
We have to see that what the facilities. It's not only you create an infrastructure, you create a hub, and then going there is difficult.
Because ultimately it's also going to lead to problems of urbanization.
Urbanization. There's a waste management. Everything is becoming a problem in Pune city nowadays. Commuting time, waste management, the quality of work is not that up to the mark. Is a governance point of view. The patrols and all these things become a bigger challenge. I think if that is not focused properly, definitely will be the bigger challenge for the industries. There is one survey which says that if you reduce the commuting time of employee at least maybe 1 hour, the people will be more happy. The happiness of the workman increases and productivity increases. So imagine a situation, you are traveling, you are going. So there are two ways also. Another is also the discipline of the citizens is also becoming a bigger problem nowadays. That also we have to focus. But then it is two-way. Why they are indisciplined? Because then they are forced to break the rules also.
So Pune's local now we have been talking about the state government and the role and maybe policies on a macro level.
Yeah.
If we come to a little more micro level, the local government of the city, how friendly is it for the industries here?
They say they are friendly. They're definitely friendly, I will say. I think the authority, the top bosses have their intention. I think they want to do something different for the city and their. But the bureaucracy is a bigger problem. Even if you see the infrastructure point of view, the coordination is missing there. Like the coordination between different departments of the social, what we can say, the local authorities or local governance need to be properly managed, which is missing. And of course, for so many, I think 2 years almost, we don't have a governance because earlier in cities there were corporators and all, they had pressures. Now it is not there, it's totally in the hands of bureaucracy. And bureaucracy may not necessarily have the, they may not have that visibility of the ground level, what's happening. The visibility is one part. Second is reality, what is happening on the ground level, they may not be aware about that. And it's become a big city. If you consider the population of Pune, Pimpri-Chinchwad and all this industrial hub, it's becoming difficult to manage because of the population. There are many challenges in the governance point of the challenges. There licensing and everything is very good. I think I will say it's not a bigger problem, but managing those is becoming. There are many, the feedback from the employees itself is that, okay, please give us work from home. We don't want to come to the office. There are now, it is taxing on their health. People are sharing their examples there. And stress is not because of the work. There is a discussion going on about 90 hours and 78 hours what they are saying. I think it is not about the work. It is the stress is because of this committee. The stress of because of the relationship what's happening. Per se, if you are enjoying your job, perhaps you will enjoy. You will spend many hours of the time. If you are enjoying, you have passion about the job. Stress is not because of that. Stress is because of the other reasons. And traffic problems, the commuting problems are becoming major issues in the states.
Correct. So, in these available challenges, now since these challenges are a part and parcel of the entire journey, but in these available challenges, what do you feel could be those maybe 1, 2, 3 steps that these manufacturing companies or service companies, not just IT, but services, service companies which are there, they can implement in order to attract skilled talent for themselves?
So one is, and there are many experimentation industries are doing. So they know that they have the limitations. Government has the limitations, and so what they are doing. One of the thing, of course, they are helping the government to solve the traffic problems. What they are doing, they are actually subsidizing, or they are actually giving their resources to manage the traffic. If you go in this Wagodi to Ranjangaon area, there are many industries. They are actually sponsoring the security guards and traffic wardens to manage the traffic during peak hours. So that is one of the things, and that is helping. Industries are coming together and having a common pool of for transportation. That is one thing. There are many apps they are implementing. Third, an organization point of view, as an internal organization, is one of the things organization can focus, and many organizations are doing that. For required talent, is it necessary nowadays to come in the office? Perhaps no, I think so. People can work from anywhere, not necessarily work from home, but work from anywhere, and as per the convenience of the employees. That is improving the productivity, and that is helping the organizations. Fourth, big industries, I think big organizations who are hosting the major population of talent, they can think about the delocalization. Like few IT industries has done experiment that you imagine in Pune coming from somebody from Nagpur. Perhaps how many talent maybe from Nagpur, migration from Nagpur, perhaps I think almost 1 lakh people, at least roughly figure, maybe from Nagpur. Maybe from Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar somebody may be coming, somebody coming from Indore, somebody coming from, there are huge people coming from those areas. Can they delocalize their centers? Because not necessarily they need to travel regularly from, what they see that specifically in IT and service industry, the supply chain is not a bigger challenge. Raw material, all these things. Connectivity anyway, there are airports in Nagpur, there are airports in many places. Connectivity is not a bigger issue. Pune is not that big connected compared to Mumbai. So if they delocalize and have their hubs in different parts of India or different parts in Maharashtra, that population may be absorbed there. That is beneficial both in the industries also, because they are saving a huge cost in infrastructure here on their buildings, and employees also, because they are saving the cost, even salary cost also, because if paying in Pune definitely is not in that particular city, you can pay less because people will be happy, they are closer to their families, and they can travel from their own cities anywhere. It's not a problem. A majority of people are not traveling in IT industry. There are hardly 10% people must be traveling around the world. So delocalization help. There are many organizations, they are doing this. Not that much percentage, but there are a few organizations in Pune, they are opening their hubs in Nagpur. Like one of the example I have seen is the Persistence. They have their office in Nagpur, and they are hosting many people in there. So at least that mob in Pune is coming. So that way I think will help the organization to correct certain things from a population point of view.
Even I think developing villages outside. So,
Yeah.
so we are just looking at maybe Hinjawadi or Wagoli or say Pirangut. But there are villages beyond that. So like I said, I spoke about Satara. where I
Of course.
got from. Suppose these villages are developed and then there is a better connectivity between the village and the city.
City, of course.
Like it happens in the West.
Yeah.
People are working in the city, but they are staying somewhere
I have
else.
seen people staying elsewhere, and their connectivity is so strong, they
Yeah.
can travel, almost 1 hour, 200 kilometer distance within 1.5 hours they in the office.
Correct.
And same here in 10 kilometers we are using that way. So I think it's a good point because Satara, Kolhapur, and huge population is Pune, and they lie because after COVID people want to be closer with their families, their parents want to with them. Of course they may stay differently, but then still it's a good proposition government can think. And government can incentivize that, and definitely there will be incentives in terms of the cost of the infrastructure will go down, salary cost will go down hugely, because in service industry, salary cost is the major thing. So I think that
developing these hubs outside the city again will create employment opportunities.
Employment opportunities there.
Better infra even in those areas. Right. So, in the next 5 to 10 years, what do you feel are the opportunities of growth, or how would the industrial landscape of the city probably look like?
It will flourish, I will say, provided if the commuting time, the infrastructure, because there are 5-star MIDCs around the Pune. But we have to ask the question whether they are still today 5-star industries. Ranjangaon is one of the industries was considered 5-star industries. They have world-class facilities like ETP and all these things. They actually, consider MNCs coming there, and there are MNCs like 3M, my earlier organization, DSM, Fiat. Many multinational organizations are there. Chakan is similar. For automobile point of view, there are many industries coming. Pirangood is the area where there is a lot of development is happening. We have to see that is there any land available for the industrial sector around. Because the environmental point of view, the balance need to be done. Otherwise, it will become a bigger challenge. What the nowadays Western world was facing a few years back, or China is facing. In pollution point of view, China, Beijing and Shanghai is the worst cities now considered in pollution point of view, and that is because excessive industrialization happening in the main cities. And that's why they started to having a hub like special SEZ for pharmaceutical industries, for example, special SEZ for chemicals, special, and they are encouraging that, having that areas, that cities in those areas, giving more connectivity and facilities to the industries. We have to think that model in India, not necessarily in Pune, but maybe outskirts of Pune, like you said, Satara, for example. It's closer to Pune, I think, hardly 2 hours.
2 hours.
And 2 hours can be reduced if the roads are made proper, and I think they are doing that job well. So, and maybe they manage the discipline on the highways and all these things. So I think next 5 years, definitely, I will say in India, one of the benefit, and we are resistance, there may be some shocks during recessions and what's happening in the other world. The population in India itself is the strength of the India. There are many government initiatives where India is going to flourish. The consumption is going to up. Consumption in terms of FMCG consumption, in your all sort of white good consumption, your automobile consumption is going to increase. Service consumption is going to increase. So India in any way is going to flourish, and as a progressive state of Maharashtra, Pune is definitely is going to flourish next 5 years in all these sectors. Only one thing government has to think, that how positive atmosphere we can create. There are many things happening around which like local politics, the pressure groups, local things, and industries are coming together. They are actually sitting with the government authorities, but that should be visible, that should be actionable, which is actually still need to be sensitized and should be accelerated nowadays. If that is happening, then definitely, like if you go in other states, there are problems. Like in Gujarat, there are still problems. If you go in Telangana was one of the hub once, few years back, that huge industrialization happening in Telangana. In Hyderabad is becoming now a major global in-house center for ITs and cities. We can be there, we can compete with them, provided we provide a good connectivity in the roads, we provide a good infrastructure, we curb the local interferences in the business.
Correct.
That is a big challenge in outskirts of, specifically Pune. In cities we don't face that, but if you go in outskirts, there are big challenges. The pressure groups, the local pressure groups are creating a lot of nuisance to the industries. That need to be tackled. Otherwise, I think anyway this development will happen, industries will come, they will manage on their own way. If the government is not supporting industries, they manage their own way. They have to buy the piece. So they manage that, but ultimately it's not a good impression on those areas. We have to think.
So the next question that I would like to ask regarding the same, what we were discussing about the the local pressure groups, or all these things. There have been some cases where some industries have also now started maybe exiting the city. So how do we address this problem, and what could be the measures that can be taken to stop this?
I think one of the thing it's happening because there are many cities in Maharashtra also. The industry is exited from it because one reason is unionism. Second thing is about the nuisance from the local and politicians and interferences in day-to-day job. I will do one of the example. How it happens. You are sitting in the office and all of a sudden somebody comes in the office and says that and he just comes there with some his followers, and he see the vehicle there on the gate, which is actually a yellow number plate, and he thinks that is hired by the company for the committing of officers, and he comes and inquire about who is the contractor, all these things, and then all of a sudden I want to meet the HR head or the factory head and all these things. Now factory head and HR head, they have many job to do in the factories, and is random people coming and asking, and they are asking just that is the right, and if somebody is there, they said how they can enter in the industries without our permissions. Few years back, one of the HR head was kidnapped. A multinational company near Pune. You must have heard the news of murders and all these things around Pune. I think that is not a good sign. And if really the government and industries are serious, we all three stakeholders need to come together, find out the solution. Maybe I'm not saying they are wrong, locals are wrong. I'm not saying, because maybe they have the feeling that the jobs are going to outsiders. They may have their own feelings also. We have to sensitize the society. One is education thing, that okay, what are the facilities? If you have the industry in certain area, you are using their resources, their land, their water, their power, you are polluting the environment. So it is the responsibility of the organization to support the locals in terms of two different initiatives. And one of the good initiative can be run through the CSR activities. If the locals see that this is, our organizations are there to support them, definitely their attitude changes. And I have seen that there may be some opponent, there may be some local pressure groups who are creating a nuisance, but then workmen working there who are locals, the opinion makers in the society come forward to protect the industries also. So it is a two-way. I think one is organization also need to come forward to support the local. They need, they should not be discreet in those areas. And government also made mandatory about the CSR spend. So how they can help about. In the organization where I work, we solve their water problem in certain areas. We solve their employment problem. We donated something for the schools, and then locals started thinking that this company is not there only exploiting the resources, but they are also helping. So then you create your ambassadors around the city. So that is the organization point of view. Second is compliance perspective, where the connection with the locals, the connection with the government authorities, including police and all these things, has to be created positively. And most of the thing that is a missing part, because on those earlier days there used to be a industrial relation manager who are very strong in compliance, who are very strong in managing the local relations, all these things. This is missing somewhere. Industries are new. MNCs, they don't have that seriousness, because they need somebody who is handling this part, and not necessarily through some local agencies and all these things they can do. So connections, because this battle, it's not a battle, but this is on a certain levels we have to manage. One is psychological level. Correct. Second is your social level. Psychological level is how you can create a positive psychology among the locals. Second is a social level, that are you making any difference for the society positively? That is second. And third is personal level, and fourth is of course government level. Personal level, you need to have identify those opinion makers, troublemakers in the society, and take appropriate actions through somebody else, that opinion makers, that, and creating a positive branding of the organization there. Typical sense is that organizations are here, industries are coming and exploiting our resources. They are giving the job outsiders. So that trust has to be built. That it is not because we are hiring externals, it is because, or maybe in a migrant workers, it is because we need many people and we don't have that
Those many resources.
and giving opportunities to local also. If you are living in the world where these problems are there, you can't be isolated. You can't say that, I will do the business and still I will create my enemies.
Correct.
You have to be with them, you have to actually understand, you have to budget for that certain things. So that is one thing. On a government point of view, definitely that proactiveness is needed. There are many agencies like police or maybe labor commissioner or maybe certain industrial director from industrial health and service. They are proactively coming, educating, but that is totally dependent upon them.
Right.
What the person is that level. Can they create some ecosystem where the both parties come together, maybe in a local, maybe in a industries representative, local representatives and government representatives, and come together and they discuss and they find out the solution rather than fighting with each other. This is happening on an association level. Like we have National Institute of Personnel Management, we have certain HR groups. They are actually doing this. But that is an informal way. It's National Institute of Personnel, because they are personnel managers, HR managers, they are doing that. But this should happen from the government point of view. They are taking proactive steps on behalf of the organization and they are engaging with the government agencies and then they are putting the problem. There are certain boards, like Mathari boards or maybe in certain security boards, all these things. If government is planning to create a wage board, different codes and consolidating the act, why not on this also? Why we need such boards nowadays? Maybe we need, but then can we really allow those boards to blackmail the industries? Not. And of course there are certain agendas of both parties, but that also need to be relooked by the government, and then there may be industries association come forward, they propose the government that okay, this is necessary or this is not necessary, but let's work close together and find out the solution, bringing all the stakeholders together. Like simple example, in many industries face the problem of, and we know how it works, but the camp stakeholders were really not the who are actually monitoring them, but the real sensible leaders from, like we have very good leaders in Pune, Dr. Babad, Adav and all these things. Maybe in Puntambegar, Mrs. She is now not active in the labor things, but maybe there may be good associations, industries association and government sit together and define the policies for those years. Because it is the Maharashtra state is the only state where there are such boards. And I don't see much issues nowadays in unionism point of view, which used to be in past, in 90s. It's a very strong movement India have seen, specifically Maharashtra have seen, specifically communist, leftist, and there are many unions we have. The consequences were there in Pune itself, we have seen many examples. But now the union leaders are also becoming aware about what. In fact, I will say there are many union leaders come on the forum and they say that why not to train workmen on artificial intelligence, automation, new skill, future of work, all these things, and make them employable rather than. So that positive changes happening. In fact, during the negotiations when there happens, the management, once the charter of demand comes, management gives a counter charter of demand, and unions are positive about that. Okay, if you want to change, we are willing to change. Resistance will be there, in families also resistance. But I have seen that drastic transformation in union leaders also. They are not adamants which used to be in past, where we have seen what happening in meal workers and all these things. But I think that's a change happening and we have to look towards as a positive.
So, sir, as we move towards the end of the discussion, we being an institution where we are in management education, we see a lot of students who are coming here and they are studying here. And most of them also look at this city as a preferred destination to start their career.
Right.
So your closing remarks for those students, A, who want to start their career here, and B, overall your opinion about how the entire thing would be probably 5 years, 10 years down the line. What kind of opportunities would further emerge over here for them? Maybe in terms of startups or in terms of jobs.
I think opportunity, one of the big, I always listen on different forums that at one side there are HR managers, there are talent acquisition experts, and there are industries are saying we don't get the right talent. And there is another side, there are huge population coming from different colleges. They are MBA graduates, they are engineer graduates. I think my suggestion is, of course, it is about the industry and academia coming together and solving those problems, maybe with associations and sandwich courses, what we can do in terms of there. But as a opportunities in every space. Opportunities are in service industries, opportunities in hotel industries. You see even I have seen the board of Korean food is very famous in Pune. Now there is opportunity for the cook who are expert in Korean cuisine. So that opportunities are everywhere. Opportunities are IT industries, opportunities are manufacturing industry. In fact, I will say the IT industry is okay. There are many colleges and talent is coming out for the specifically IT and software, all this thing. Manufacturing industries are facing many challenges. Like I will give a simple example about field service engineers, for example. If some organization want to service the equipment which is given to the industries, B2B in sense, they don't get a field service engineers. And people don't want to work on a client face, they want to work in the offices. So my suggestion to the to the student always is there that at least for next, when they start a career, at least for next 5 to 6 years, they need to be open for all experiences. It is not, and they have to also do the experimentation in their career. Like, and doing this experimentation, they gain the experience, which is in a 3-way. One is their functional experience, they build a functional experience. Second, they get a perspective about different industries, and third is about their leadership experience they build. So I have seen many people who are targeting specific industry and walking out from the campus just because that industry is not aligned with their career goal. Now thinking about career goal at the age of just 23, 25, not necessarily it will go. Career is not a ladder. Career is the journey where is ups and downs, and then you build a career. There are successes, there are failures. So rather than focusing on the brand name, rather than focusing on the dream job profile, focus on what you are getting from the industries and start working there, experiment there. If you like 1 year, you go there. If you don't like, find out another thing in another industry. If you change the job, you will definitely get a higher salary in another industry. But you will build a perspective there. And you will gain the experience in different areas. So one thing is about curiosity in terms of all these things. I have seen the people who are IT, they only focus on ITs and they build, and then maybe when they are 35 or 40s, they become stagnant. And then they feel frustrated, and then they change the job, but then they are not happy really. Salary comes, then redundancy happens, then layoff happens, and at that age it is very difficult for them to manage that. They start their own startup, or then they start their own business, which is also not, for them, sometimes for everybody it is not possible, because then risk-taking ability is required. So curiosity in terms of working in different sectors should be, student at this stage should be open for any options available coming and just taking first option and going for them. I have done that, and then I never regret about that options. Second is, the choices are with us, but we should not be too much choosy about some things like company, about the package and salary. If you gain that experience, salary will definitely follow. I will give the example. I hired 2 management trainees from some same management institute. 2 management trainees came from the interview, and because of the salary, one rejected the offer and another accepted the offer because she was really needed. She is doing wonderful, and she got a lot of opportunity to work on automation, to work on different project in HR, and she become expert in particular area, and her salary, definitely is going to grow, because then when we are confirming her, his salary is going to up. The another candidate who actually declined the job offer, what the job she is doing is just downloading the resumes from the portal and reporting to the managers and calling as a telecaller and the candidate. Who is going to grow further?
The first one.
She got a salary less, but then over a period of the experience she gained, she has the material to become the department head on particular area of the HR. But the another candidate may got a salary in good salary, but her stagnation will be there in certain areas. And talent acquisition is the function where if something comes, that's the first function where if recruitment stop, nobody is going to ask. Redundancies happen in those functions, good to have, but then in certain areas. So she will not have the option because she is not gaining the experience. She is gaining only one particular experience. So find out the organization where you get a multiple experiences. And I have a feeling that those experiences you get those experiences in a smaller companies, in Indian companies, in startup, because if you join in finance, you do everything in finance and you gain that experiences. You join multinational company or a big industry, you will be an accountant, you will be only and you will doing the accountant job forever. Because then you are building your profile. When you are building your resume, focus on the resume, how you want to build the resume in terms of experiences, rather than focusing only one area of the experiences. I built that because I started my career in IR, then become HR, all aspect of it, and that's why I'm here. But there are many friends of mine who choose their core, only talent acquisition, L&D. L&D head can't be a HR head. Recruitment head can't be a HR. Maybe there may be exceptions, but you need to deal multiple people in different general management is, that's the way it works. So choose the career rightly, I think, what you like. Perhaps somebody may like, okay, I don't want to go in a larger role. I'm happy what I'm doing 9 to 5. Choose that. But then you should decide what you like and what you want to choose in the year. So the curiosity that will help you to build your resume, build your job profile over a period of time. So at least students need to focus next 5 years after the graduation or post-graduation to build a job profile, to build a resume rather than focusing on salary or brand or the company and all these things.
I come from the banking segment, and I have seen that nationalized banks have typically this kind of induction model where somebody who comes inside spends some time on a cashier desk as well, in the clearing desk as well, in multiple processes. So it is very important to learn multiple things, multiple job roles, so that they can finally then take up leadership opportunities in the.
I think SBI is a great example. I think known for other reasons, but they have very strong HR practices and learning and development.
Yes. No, I think it's a fantastic discussion, sir. We had with you. The whole point of the discussion today was to let people know, people who are aspiring to come to this city for maybe education or for job opportunities. The whole point was to let them know what kind of a city Pune city is, and how now. See, probably it was known for some other things in the past. But today, how it has changed, what kind of opportunities are there available for work, for studies, those things, and a general perspective about what kind of challenges are there in the industry. We just try to understand those challenges so that somebody who is listening to this podcast can actually work on those challenges, and those challenges can be removed. I hope you like this entire discussion. Once again, please share this video with your friends, and help us maximize the reach. And subscribe to the channel for more updates. And thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a great pleasure. I think fruitful discussion. Perhaps I think hope that the audience got some reflection, some insight about the Pune city and the industries around it.
Right. Certainly.
Thank you so much.